Good morning, students. Today we are going to derive three very important equations called equation of motion. Now, what is this equation of motion? Equation of motion are the sets of equations that gives us the relationship between various parameters that describes the motion. Now, what are these parameters? These parameters are velocity, distance, time, acceleration. That means these equations of motion help us to find out the relation between these parameters, and all these parameters or quantities have been discussed earlier. You all are now familiar with these parameters. So, equation of motion gives relationship between these quantities only. So the first equation of motion is V is equal to U plus AT. Second equation of motion is S is equal to UT plus half AT square. And the third equation of motion is V square minus U square is equal to 2AS, where U is the initial velocity, V is the final velocity, A is the acceleration, T is the time taken, and S is the distance or displacement. These equation of motion is one of the most important topics of this chapter, and now we will see how to derive these equations one by one. Now let us start with first equation of motion. First equation of motion is also known as equation for velocity time relation and is given by V is equal to U plus AT. Now let us see how to derive it. So consider an object having mass m moving with velocity v at any time t. Now we know that acceleration is equal to change in velocity upon time interval. We have already studied about acceleration, and we know that acceleration is change in velocity upon time, which is also written as A is equal to V minus U upon T, where V is the final velocity and U is the initial velocity. Now cross multiply here. After cross multiplying, you will get this equation, which is AT is equal to V minus U. Now bring this U to the left hand side, and when you take this U to the left hand side, you will get your first equation of motion. So this is one of the simplest equation of motion to derive. I hope it is clear to you all. Now come to the second equation of motion. Second equation of motion is also known as equation for displacement time relation. This equation gives relation between displacement and time and is given by the equation S is equal to UT plus half AT square. Now let us see its derivation. So consider a body moving with initial velocity u with constant acceleration a. After time t, its final velocity becomes v. So earlier you have studied about average velocity. So first of all, you have to write both the formulas for average velocity, which is initial velocity plus final velocity upon 2, which can also be written as u plus v upon 2, where u is the initial velocity, v is the final velocity upon 2, and give this equation number 1. Now if S is displacement of the body with average velocity, then average velocity is equal to total displacement upon time, where S is the displacement. So average velocity is equal to total displacement upon time. Now give this equation number 2. Now equate both the equations. As average velocity is equal to this parameter, average velocity is also equal to this. Now by equating these two things, we get this equation, and give this equation number 3. As average velocity is equal to this, average velocity is also equal to S by T. It means these two quantities are also equal to each other. So by equating these two equations, we will get our equation number 3rd. Now from the first equation of motion, we know that v is equal to u plus at. You have to put this value of v in equation number 3rd. And when you will put this value of v in equation number 3rd, you will get this equation. U plus at upon 2 is equal to s by t. From here you can see there are 2u. So in the next equation you can write the same. 2u plus at upon 2 is equal to s upon t. Now cross multiply these two. Now cross multiply these equation. So you will get 2u plus at bracket multiply by t is equal to 2s. Now multiply this t inside the bracket. 2u plus t plus at square is equal to 2s. Now divide this equation by 2. When you multiply the t inside the bracket, after that divide the whole equation by 2 like this. And when you will divide the whole equation by 2, you can see 2 is cut from 2. You will get this equation, which is s is equal to ut plus half at square, which is your second equation of motion. I hope this second equation of motion is clear to you all. First of all, what you have to do, you have to write both the formulas for average velocity. Then you have to equate both these equations, and you will get your equation number 3rd, which is u plus v upon 2 is equal to s upon t. And now from the first equation of motion, you have to put the value of v, and then by solving these equations, you will get your second equation of motion. Now let us come to third equation of motion. Third equation of motion is also known as displacement velocity relation. This equation gives relation between displacement and velocity and is given by v square is equal to u square plus 2as, or it can also be written as v square minus u square is equal to 2as. Now let us see how to derive it. So consider a body moving with initial velocity u with constant acceleration a. After time t, its final velocity becomes v. Again, you have to write both the formulas for average velocity, which is initial velocity plus final velocity upon 2. Give this equation number 1. And if s is the displacement of the body with average velocity, then average velocity can be written as total displacement upon total time, and you write this equation as equation number 2. Now after this, equate both the equations, and after equating these equations, you will get this equation again and give this equation number 3rd, which is u plus v upon 2 is equal to s by t. So up to here, we have to do the same steps as we have done in our second equation of motion. Now after this, see from first equation of motion, we know that v is equal to u plus at. From here, you just find out the value of t. What you have to do, take u on the left hand side. So this equation comes, this equation will become like this, and also take a on the left hand side. Then you will get the value of t. Now put this value of t in equation number 3rd, and when you will put this value of t in equation number 3rd, you will get this equation, that is s is equal to u plus v upon 2 multiply by v minus u upon a, and this, the numerator resembles an algebraic identity, which is a square minus b square is equal to a minus b and a plus b. by applying this identity, instead of writing this u plus v and v minus u, you will straight away write this v square minus u square by applying this identity upon 2a. So after this, you cross multiply this equation and you will get v square is equal to u square plus 2as, or v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So I think this third equation of motion is clear to you all. When you will practice this on your own, the equations, the derivations will be more clearer to you. So I hope the derivations of these equation of motion is clear to you all. And now we are left with the last topic of the lesson, that is uniform circular motion, which we will discuss tomorrow. And meanwhile, you all practice these equations, because by practicing only you will get to know these equations well.